1.
Вітаю шановних колег та всіх тих,
Greetings, dear colleagues and everyone watching us online. Today, on the 18th of November 2025, the advisory group of experts has convened for an official meeting attended by 5 members of the AGE. These are AGE Secretary Ms. Maureen O'Connor, AGE members Mr. Yaroslav Romaniuk, Mr. Vasil Shakun, Mr. Alex Zalar, and myself, the chair of the AGE, Oksana Valselchenko. Also, there are present deputies of the AGE members, Thomas Griffin, Mr. Marek Zubik. Therefore, I declare our meeting plenipotentiary and open. Let me also remind everyone that all official AGE meetings are broadcast live on the official platforms of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine and the advisory group of experts. And now I give the floor to the AGE Secretary, Ms. Maureen O'Connor, to present the purpose and preliminary agenda of today's meeting. Ms. Maureen, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Greetings to our colleagues and greetings to
Дуже
the public.
дякую. Вітаю шановних колег та громадськість. 24 жовтня 2025 року
Draft law number 14149 was registered in the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, proposing amendments to certain legislative acts of Ukraine regarding the improvement of the competitive selection procedure for the position of judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. Shortly thereafter, on the 27th of October, an alternative draft law, number 14149-1, was also registered. On November 13th, the committee of the Verkhovna Rada on Legal Policy adopted a conclusion recommending that Parliament adopt draft law number 14149 as a basis following the first reading. At the same time, it should be recalled that the successful implementation of the reform of the selection and appointment procedure for constitutional court judges is one of Ukraine's key EU integration benchmarks. Therefore, the logical and consistent next step should be consultations on the proposed amendments to the relevant legal acts with European partners in order to avoid any potential EU integration obstacles for Ukraine. As far as the advisory group is aware, the Legal Policy Committee of the Verkhovna Rada has not publicly announced the holding of such consultations. It should be noted that during the preparation of legislation introducing the participation of the advisory group in the selection of candidates for the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, it was the Venice Commission that provided its opinions. Therefore, the advisory group of experts considers it appropriate to discuss the possibility of independently requesting an urgent opinion on draft law number 14149 and draft law number 14149-1 from the Venice Commission. In light of this information, I propose to include the following items in today's agenda. First, on self-recusal from participating in the vote on the request to the European Commission for Democracy through Law, that is the Venice Commission. And second, on the request to the European Commission for Democracy through Law. Colleagues, are there any proposals or comments on the agenda? If there are no objections, I propose putting the announced agenda items to a vote for approval. So all those who are in favor, would you raise your hand, please? Okay, we have 5 members then, and the decision is adopted unanimously amongst the 5 members. The proposed agenda of the advisory group of experts is therefore approved. Thank you.
Дякую, шановна пані О'Коннор. Колеги, членкиня
Thank you,
дорадчої
dear
групи
Ms. O'Connor. Dear colleagues, Hanna Sohotska has submitted a self-recusal request regarding participation in the consideration of the request to the Venice Commission. Please be reminded that Ms. Sohotska is the honorary president of the European Commission for Democracy through Law. And therefore, her recusal is, in this situation, entirely understandable and requires no explanation. Please note that a member of the AGE whose recusal is being considered does not take part in the vote. Are there any comments or remarks on the request?
Якщо питань немає, то прошу
If not,
голосувати.
please vote
Чи
on
задовольняєте ви
whether
заяву пані Ганни
you support
Сухоцької?
Ms. Hanna
Просимо її
Sukhotska's
щодо розгляду
recusal to
другого
respect
питання порядку денного.
the
Хто за,
second
прошу голосувати.
item of the agenda. Who is in favor, please vote.
Дякую, колеги. Рішення
Thank
прийнято
you, colleagues.
одноголосно.
The decision is adopted unanimously. The recusal request of AGE member Ms. Hanna Sukhotska regarding the consideration of their request to the European Commission for Democracy through Law is approved.
Колеги, хотіла б публічно
Colleagues,
наголосити, що
I would like to publicly emphasize that the recused Hanna Sukhotska, as well as her deputy, Mr. Richard Barrett, who is a member of the Venice Commission, are not present today at the meeting. That's why neither Hanna nor Richard participate in the request to the Commission. Colleagues, let us proceed to the second question of our agenda, in particular on the addressing to the Venice Commission about the right. As informed by Ms. Marina O'Connor, at the end of October, two draft laws were registered in the Parliament to amend the law of Ukraine on the Constitutional Court of Ukraine and on the rules of the procedure of the Verkhovna Rada, specifically regarding the activities of the advisory group of experts. In this regard, the advisory group of experts is considering the possibility of applying to the Venice Commission for an assessment of this draft law and the amendments proposed by members of the Parliament. A new, transparent procedure for selecting and evaluating candidates for positions of the Constitutional Court judges with the participation of the advisory group of experts is one of the key reforms in the judicial sphere and in safeguarding fundamental rights. Dear colleagues, please share your views on the matter. Whoever would like to speak up, please. Yaroslav Mikhailovich, please. Greetings, colleagues, and everyone watching our live meeting. I support the idea of requesting an opinion from the Venice Commission on behalf of the advisory group regarding the draft law number 14149 and 14149. This request should serve as a safeguard against potential risks contained in the proposed amendments. Actually, such an initiative should ideally come from lawmakers themselves, since they bear personal responsibility before the Ukrainian people for the successful implementation of reforms identified by the EU as priorities on the Ukraine's path toward European integration. Overall, it is extremely important that legislative changes on the sensitive EU integration matters be drafted and prepared in close consultation among all stakeholders. All appointing authorities, the European Commission, the Venice Commission, the AGE, and relevant institutions. Therefore, I fully support the initiative to request an opinion from the Venice Commission. Thank you, Yaroslav Mikhailovich. Sir Alish, please.
Yes, dear Madam Chair, thank you for giving me the floor.
Пане голова, дякую вам, що дали.
And good day, dear colleagues, and all those watching the meeting online. I fully agree with my colleagues on the need to request an opinion from the Venice Commission. Indeed, amendments to important EU integration laws and procedures must be approached with a great caution and only through dialogue with all stakeholders. Proposed amendments relate to the role of the AGE as a body with primary selection function, which is of key importance from the perspective of European standards concerning election or appointment of judges. Furthermore, the procedure for selecting and evaluating candidates for position of Constitutional Court judges within the mandate of the advisory group of experts has proven its effectiveness. For 2 years, the AGE has performed its functions efficiently and on time, as prescribed by the law. Ukrainian civil society organizations and Ukrainian international partners have given positive assessments of the AGE's work. Considering all the arguments presented, I support the initiative to request an opinion from the Venice Commission, and I'm giving the floor back to Madam Chair, Oksana.
Шановні колеги, чи є бажаючі ще висловити свою позицію?
Dear colleagues, thank you very much for your position. Are there anyone else who wants to speak up about anything else? Dear colleagues, I also confirm that our consultations will prevent us from even potential risks of adopting amendments that could be critically perceived by the European Commission. If there are any comments to the second item of the agenda, then please let us vote. Do you support the initiative to request an urgent opinion from the European Commission for democracy through law on draft law 14.149 and 14.149.1? Please, dear colleagues, who is for, please vote. 5 members of the AGE voted for. Unanimously, decision is adopted to request an urgent opinion from the European Commission for democracy through law on 2 draft laws, 14.149 and 14.149.1. Thank you, dear colleagues. We have exhausted our agenda for today. We are also grateful to everyone who follows the work of the AGE. Your attention and engagement in the implementation of reforms in Ukraine are extremely important. With this, I declare the meeting of the advisory group of experts closed. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.